We're not out to get men. We're not like, move over, it's our turn. It's not like that at all. It's about making sure that female talent is recognised and embraced in the same way that male talent is. Music should be an equal place. It should be a place where everyone is spoken for. There was a specific moment in a sweaty, legendary and now defunct nightclub in Belfast called Shine. It was a techno club and I used to work there. And I remember watching DJ Sneak, a legendary DJ, perform. And he dropped Armand van Helden, You Don't Know Me. And I saw this kind of huge surge of energy and appreciation go through the crowd. And I remember thinking at that moment, God, that would be really cool to be able to do that, as your job. And I bought some decks and a mixer off my friend Mickey Murphy, and the rest is history. Shout out to Mickey Murphy. 2 years of hustling in London, doing all different types of work for different types of radio stations. And then I got into BBC Radio 1 being an assistant producer and worked my way up from there. I'm now in a position where I do a show every single day. I DJ all over the world and I really like it. It's fun. But the hardest bit of my career, I can safely say, was when I had babies. You know, I'm self-employed. I worked very hard to get to the point where I was at. I don't think you have any choice as a woman but to take time off when you have a baby. Because you've got to breastfeed, unless you want a baby stuck to your boob in the studio, it's not really that amenable if you choose to breastfeed at the start. So I had to take time off, and I wanted to take time off. But I was also petrified of taking time off because there's always someone who wants your job. You know, when you're freelance, it's kind of, you don't feel that secure in your job. Also in the world of music, it just goes so fast. You know, I felt like I was never going to be able to catch up on all the stuff I missed out on. After having babies, the idea of touring as a DJ I found really difficult and have had to kind of sacrifice my global DJ career. America tours, Australia tours, because I have a full-time radio job, so if I took all my holiday time to go on tour around the world, I literally just wouldn't see my kids. So that was one thing I've had to sacrifice, but I made that choice and I'm really happy to do it, but something had to give in order for me to be a mother. I'm really focused on the music industry, and with this Smirnoff Equalising Music pledge, I am going to the people that I know, that I have relationships with, and I'm saying, why don't you, within the company that you own or within the people that you manage or the music that you publish or that you sign, why don't you think about pledging to try and really do one thing that can help redress the balance in music. Over the years, I became more aware of my status as a woman in a world that was dominated by men. And that happened a lot during interviews because people seemed really interested in talking about it, and sometimes I get pretty defensive about it. And it also happened, as I said, when I had the babies. I found that was a real kind of reminder that you are female and you have got to, because of the body that you own, you've got to take time off work and you've got to do things differently than all the other DJs that you know that are men, for instance, who still get to tour Australia or America, because a lot of the time their wives will just bring their kids over with them if they're parents. Being a woman really made me want to achieve more and want to kind of show that you can do this as a woman, because I don't know any other mums at my level in the world of DJing. I know a lot of other women, great, but I don't know any other mums, and I'm quite conscious of that, and I'd like to show that you can be a mother and bring up kids and also be a DJ. The problem that I have is that behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, even though you might look like it, there's a real inequality. It's really lopsided, and women aren't really being given a chance to say their piece or to make their mark in a lot of areas of the music industry. It may seem that there is women making music, but a lot of the time the women aren't owning that music. A lot of the time women aren't owning the companies or the labels that are putting out that music. There's not enough female bosses being able to dictate how women can work within the music industry. So it's harder and harder for women to have kids and then say come back to a full-time job in the music industry, because it's really full on. You've got to go to work 9 to 5 and then go to gigs every night. Everyone needs to be spoken for. And if you go to a festival and the only people that you see on that stage are men, then what is that saying to every woman in that audience? It's saying, well, there's not really a place for you on that stage. And I think it's really important that women know that there is a place for them in the music industry. There's all these seismic changes and the industry's trying to keep up a lot of the time. I've liked seeing more diversity on stage in the UK. Again, I keep going back to Stormzy, but seeing the fact that he is headlining Glastonbury, a grime artist from London, that age, it just fills me with joy. I still think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of the music industry evolving in all counts of diversity, but it is evolving, and I think that's the main thing. When my colleague Annie Nightingale started on BBC Radio 1 back in the 1960s, Radio 1 had an entirely male output of DJs. All the voices on Radio 1 were male because all the bosses at the BBC were male, and their angle was women, well, they just want to hear their husbands, right? The housewives at home, they just want to hear from their husbands. They want to hear male voices. Actually, having a female voice on the radio was considered absurd until Annie Nightingale came along, and then another woman called Janice Long. We're, what, 60 years later now, and we're getting there, but it's a slow process. I'd like to see it go a bit faster, actually. So since I've been harping on about this, I've had a lot of people react to it in a kind of defensive way, being like, well, why should I listen to music because of gender? It's not about gender, I'll listen to whatever I want. Or maybe music by women is just shit. Maybe they just don't make good enough music. There is no reason why women are not as good at making music as men. None. The fact that there's not as many women out there putting out records, making money from records, playing on stages, is really sad, because I think music should be an equal place. It should be a place where everyone is spoken for. We're not out to get men. We're not like, move over, it's our turn. It's not like that at all. It's about making sure that female talent is recognised and embraced in the same way that male talent is, both behind the scenes, in the boardrooms, running record labels, running publishing companies, but also writing music, producing music. 600 songs of the most successful songs in 2018, 612 of them were made by women. That's 2%. And I think that's really embarrassingly lopsided. It would be nice to see music being a bit more of an equal place. Everyone really has the capacity to make a little difference. It's about changing the way that you think about music and what you consume and what choices you make within music. For people who are just fans of music, I think it's just about looking at how you consume music in a different way. I'm not saying you need to go and completely turn everything that you love in music upside down, but do seek out women, because there's so much untapped talent out there. There's so many amazing female artists that you may not have heard of that you can totally get down with. It's about equality. It's about feeling like women have the same amount of rights, the same amount of pay, and the same amount of opportunities as men as a normal. I would really like to not have to talk about this. I would like it to be totally normalised, and I think that it will be. But at the moment, in terms of gender pay gap, it's going to take way too long for women to be paid the same amount as men. And I think that's obscene. I think it's ridiculous. I would like to accelerate it and use my voice to do that and spread the word and try and raise awareness of the fact that in the music industry and so many others, there's a bit of catching up to do. And I think we can do it.